Hey people, welcome back to my series of how to create orchestral music on your PC. Already we have covered listening, preparing your ear and imagination. We have talked a bit about the computer system and sound libraries. In this video I'm gonna talk about preparing your setup and working with templates. But before we start, breathe, relax and hit the subscribe and drop me a like. Off we go.
Choosing the right software.
Your rig is installed, your sounds are spread via your drives. Can we start now? I fear we have to make some preparations before we can start digging into the music. I personally try to avoid libraries I do not know and I do not trust, because sample libraries do reside in my RAM. However, they try to communicate, even phone home and send a lot of information to your DAW. Most DAWs are so friendly to listen, but this will lead to troubles very quickly. And troubles do not interact with your personal calendar. They appear whenever they feel like it, randomly and out of the blue, and will spoil your days as they did mine. So get used to it. If you want to sound big, the bath is full of tears and sweat. There's a program preventing nasty libraries from talking too much. It's called Vienna Ensemble Pro, so short it's VE Pro. It hosts libraries and connects itself to any DAW. This is, if you are a bit serious into orchestral music production, the way to go. Go for it. Get it running and stack up your libraries into it. Best thing, it can connect multiple computers via a network. So use your old PC or Mac and use it as a slave and outsource a whole group of instruments such as percussions or strings. I, for my setup, decided to outsource almost all. That my host computer handles the DAW, audio and only the software, since the whole orchestra is performed by another computer, by the slave. Talking about DAW, there are lots of videos out there which DAW to choose and what the pros and cons are. These days, in 2020, there's a handful of DAWs to choose from. Pro Tools, Cubase, Logic, Reaper, Studio One, Ableton Live, maybe Bitwig Studio. I will give a very quick overview with my experience. Pro Tools is very expensive and requires dedicated hardware. The main focus is on recording live bands and mixing, which it does best from all DAWs. It lacks MIDI capabilities and is definitely not the best choice for an orchestral setup. Steinberg's Cubase is capable of all things you expect from an old-school DAW. It is a bit fidgety when it comes to routing and editing. Hardware integration is totally not practical and intuitive, but it can do MIDI perfectly and has a big focus on production and creativity. Plus, it works like a charm. Logic may be nice to handle and look at, but under the hood it's quite sloppy. Things you'd expect, such as export and accurate handling, are a nightmare. Reaper is amazingly versatile, open source and has a modern approach. It is the most customizable DAW and able to handle an orchestral project for sure. Studio One is PreSonus' take on digital audio workflow, and they are definitely worth a look at. They shine with awesome drag and drop capabilities, and hardware integration is also great. Ableton Live is a beast when it comes to live productions, DJ sets, long ambient sessions, precise sound handling in theater and band situations, but I'd not recommend it as a production tool. It is totally fidgety and lacks preciseness, not to speak creating hundreds of tracks there. Let us know in the comments your experience with DAWs for orchestral production, and please stay friendly.
Templates.
Discussions are going on whether you should or should not use a template. This means if your MIDI channels are set up already and everything is good to go. I have been working on my template for 2.5 years and I invested hours, days, weeks into it. It's totally crazy for me to start in an empty session. I could never afford the time to start from scratch. It takes me hours for the project to be ready to go. I do not see the positive effect in starting on an empty sheet. This is as not having chairs and instruments for your musicians before a recording session. I just imagine how crazy this would be. You want a viola pizzicato? You get it. You want a military snare? Done. You want a harp and mix it with bassoon? No problem. Having all the orchestra at your fingertips is an amazing feeling and worth any work and frustration beforehand. I see composers fiddling around their sessions, having multiple contact samplers open, not knowing which one plays what. They are loaded with mixed instruments like a violin, then a synth, then an electric guitar, a loop player and some mallets. Oh my god, that's a horror. Mixing down and prepping for delivery is loads of work. As you can imagine, in the end we want things to be separated, so we can mix properly. I do not mix contact instances, never. I mix string section and instrument groups. I want to do music in the end. So, do yourself a favor and start with a template. It will refine in the next months and adapt to your workflow, and vice versa. Alright, let's wrap it up. Let us know your ideas in the comments and check out the other parts of the series. Happy producing. Bye bye.